You're listening to The Joe Cronin Show, a wrestling podcast with attitude.
So I just got done watching the Sasha Banks Chronicle, which is a great production, if you'd like to see it, or especially if you'd like to cry. It is just a very sad thing, to be honest. It's actually uplifting. It's supposed to be this sort of uplifting thing by the end, of course, redemption. But it does have a very sad, depressing vibe. If you have depression yourself, you're going to find yourself self-loathing in this and identifying with Sasha, I think. I found myself strongly identifying with Sasha in this chronicle. Before I tell you what I feel about the actual show and about how I feel about Chronicle with Sasha Banks and about the things she said and stuff like that, I do want to first bring to light the fact that she says that the stories of her and Bayley, of course, were false. That never happened. And she, can't believe that and where those stories came from and other things like that. I think it's important to remember that going back, you can find the clips of us here wondering what's going on, talking about the reports because they were so strong. But also that, especially myself saying that it seemed like a hit piece on them. It always seemed like somebody was trying to make them look bad because it seemed so ridiculous that they would have done that. And so we were always pretty much not really believing those stories anyway. But obviously you can go see all those videos from the past. But the fact of the matter is a lot of people did believe it, and it was a thing that led with the rumors. And I'd like to relive some of the original story real quick of that before playing Sasha Banks' response to this. And, here's April 12th, 2019. Ryan Satan. Hey, Ryan Satan. I know Ryan Satan, as we call him, reported that Banks and Bayley were laying on the floor of the locker room at MetLife Stadium, loudly making it known they were unhappy about dropping the titles. It was also noted that they made a similar scene back in the WWE hotel. Well, that's what you get, millennials. Heard from a source saying Sasha and Bayley were laying on the floor in the locker room, loudly making it known they were losing the titles. Satan defended his report and said he had heard the same information from multiple sources. This info is from different sources I've spoken with in the past day, all independent from each other, and all came to me about it, not the other way around. He wrote, for those who are wondering, Ryan Satan, or as I call him, Ryan Satan, is a SJW crazy virtue signaling psychopath who basically holds everybody accountable for their own morals and a standard that he apparently believes in but yet doesn't follow. He is a large, crazy SJW writer and person who basically is a double talker, a double standard type of person where he does all the things he complains about other people doing. He is the first to go after Vince Russo and other people for being homophobic and sort of things like that. But it's really all just a farce to put himself over, like most SJWs, social justice warrior, and psychopaths. So yeah, it's important to remember that that's where that did come from. But now let's hear what Sasha Banks has to say. And this is, you can hear this, the whole show. I recommend watching this on the WWE Network. It's Chronicle with Sasha Banks. Definitely go use my WWE link below for the network if you can.
I'm feeling how I felt when that Paige stuff happened. I was just like, man, you guys don't know the full story. You don't know the full thing. And then it's just like, how the hell do they make this stuff up too? Like, I saw so much stuff, like crying on the floor of the locker room. No, I got undressed, put my clothes on, and walked out and stand with the fans with Pam watching the main event because I was so happy for those girls. Then there's rumors that I was crying on the hotel floor. It's just, man, please show me those pictures. Please show me the footage. you can't let those things destroy you, because I really learned with therapy, you can't take anything personal because they don't know me. They don't know Mercedes, and they don't know Mercedes who plays Sasha Banks, and they don't know what we go through day to day at TV.
So that takes me to this point that I'm going to make now. There's a part of me that really loves this sort of documentary, this whatever you want to call it, documentary. I guess a documentary. I don't know, a mini little documentary thing. There's a part of me that really loves it, and I really think that I love Sasha Banks. I mean, let me get that straight. I trained for a couple days at the Chaotic Wrestling School, which is now New England Wrestling Academy, when she was wrestling at one point. And I just got to see her in the ring for a few seconds, and I heard a few words from her in the back. She's very nice, and I've really always kind of been a little bit obsessed with her in a way, like, what's she going to do? You know, what's Mercedes going to do? And, you know, I just saw this girl, Mercedes, and she's younger than me. You know, I'm 35, so I always looked at it kind of like this new kid's here, you know, this new young kid. And I said, man, I got to keep my eyes on her. She seems really impressive. And certainly she was. And so I've always had this thing where I've wanted to follow her and see what she did. And then little did I know she would be signed by WWE so quickly, in a way. Probably didn't seem so quick to her, but to me it did. You know, somebody who never got signed by anybody, and not only that, with commentary, never got signed by anybody. So to me, it's a flat, pretty quick thing for somebody to get signed like that and then be on the main roster. And so the part of me loves the honesty that she tells here. And, you know, depression is tough. It's something I don't like talking about because I feel like people think you're a whiner. And that's my problem with this, is she is supposed to be sort of a superhero or a badass or whatever you want to call it. And this really humanizes the characters, and I think it does a detriment to wrestling when you show this side. However, this Chronicle show is more entertaining than most of the wrestling you see nowadays. So while I don't like these type of things because they kind of expose the person, the business, and the character, you know, at the same time, it's very compelling and very fun and interesting to watch this. And it's in many, the real life drama is more entertaining than, unfortunately, the stuff we get on the TV. Now, that being said, last night was Clash of Champions. And last night at Clash of Champions, Sasha Banks and Becky, I believe, had the best match of the night, which is kind of incredible because I guess I didn't see that coming. Although, you know, the women have stole the show before. And then there's been times where the women have been put as the headliners and not stole the show. But last night, they had the best match, I believe. I mean, the ending, of course, unfortunately, you know, it wasn't a conclusive ending. But as far as story and what I saw in the build-up, I thought it was the best thing that I saw last night, aside from AJ Styles and Cedric Alexander. Although they were only given 5 minutes to wrestle, it felt like an opening match. And that match felt like it belonged on the opening spot of the show, but instead it got pre-show. But anyway, Sasha and Becky did a great job the other night. Sasha's been great since coming back for the most part. Still not hitting on full cylinders for me, but I don't know if that's really her fault or the writing or whatever. I'm not sure. But it's still been one of the best things that we've seen in WWE recently in the last month. So I do recommend this documentary. I definitely think you should check it out. Again, I think if you have depression, you're going to identify with this. I definitely did, being that I felt kind of trapped in a cage myself recently, but I don't want to talk about it because I take it as whining. You know what I mean? And that's the thing. I think some people will see this as whining, but I see it as brutally honest and compelling, but I do see it as damaging her character a bit. And that's why I don't like to talk about things either, and why many out there don't want to talk about these things. I know that I myself want to... I love calling wrestling. That's kind of all I really want to do. When I'm not calling wrestling, I feel like something's missing in my life, like heavily. And so I feel trapped, but maybe I'm not doing enough. And it's sort of mulling, like it's sort of like a cloud over me. And also the idea, the pressure to like do well or your whole family loses. You know what I mean? That it's you know, that sort of thing is definitely affecting me, and I don't know what to do about it. So seeing Sasha here go away and do all these things is wonderful. But again, anybody normal battling sort of a depression, it's hard to identify with it. That's the one thing I'd be concerned about this documentary, is so many people are going to say like, I don't get it. I get depression, but Sasha, you know, you work for WWE. What about all the people out there who are depressed right now because they can't work for WWE or they can't do the job they want to do? Like, there's going to be people who are like, I'm losing my house, and how can she be depressed? Or there's wrestlers out there who are injured in the independent scene who will never make it to WWE, who don't have any money, and they've just got injured. Nobody out there knows who they are even to help them. There's so many people out there that have this type of depression that are lost, but they're in a really bad position. But Sasha Banks has the benefit of any day, sure, WWE, I'm coming back. Okay, cool, yay, everyone's happy. But what does the guy do who is about to be homeless? What does a guy like Ryan Satin do who's soulless? What do you do when you don't have the situation of Sasha Banks? And I'm not going to say the word privilege either because I hate that crap. But, you know, you're not in the position that Sasha's in. So I think a lot of people are going to see this documentary maybe and kind of be, they're not going to feel bad for her. They're not going to connect with it. They're going to be more angry by it. They're going to be more like, how dare you, you know, type of thing. So even I watched it thinking a little bit of that as well. Like, well, oh, poor you, you know, your husband and you work in the WWE. You've headlined WWE pay-per-views. You're still there. You know? And I think a lot of people are going to look at this really selfishly and think about, well, what about me? My wife just died. What about me? You know, I work you know, 13 hours, $13 an hour job, and I can't pay my bills. You know, people are going to resent this type of thing, I believe. I think there'll be a lot of people that love it and that understand it. And I think there'll be a lot of younger kids who are like, oh, God, she's so brave and stuff like that, you know? And then there'll be people like me who like, I like it. I really do like it. And it was very honest and very, very, very sad and real and everything. But at the same time, there is that little bit of kind of like, well, I mean, wow, it really is tough to be you, you know? How about try being me who like, you know, tried wrestling for so many years. It never really fully worked out. In fact, depression is why I never continued in wrestling, because I went into a 2-year spiral of drinking and craziness. But, you know, I'm still sitting here on YouTube trying to put my applications out, put my demos out, put my highlight reels out to become an announcer or a commentator. And I've done commentary for the last 6-7 years straight for different independent wrestling companies. And it's like it doesn't seem like it's ever gonna happen for me. You know, so people like me are gonna look at this and say, well, you're in such a great position. But the one thing to remember here is that this depression never leaves you. This isn't going to leave. If you have depression or some kind of demon or some kind of sadness that started when you were younger, it's just always going to follow you, no matter how successful you are. So that's why I myself don't blame Sasha for this, and I don't get all defensive like a lot of those people are going to get, like, oh, you know, how dare you, you know, I'm not in a good position. It doesn't matter if you're in a good position or a bad position or whatever position you're in. This depression is real, and it's going to be there. It's always going to be there. It doesn't matter. You could become probably rich, become a millionaire. It will find its way to you somehow. And it's very real. It's very weird. But anyway, I definitely recommend it if you want to check it out. But if you're somebody who's going to be kind of like, you know, piss on her, you know, then you're probably not going to like it. And if you're somebody who's easily emotionally altered or gets depressed by watching sort of depressing stuff, I'd almost tell you not to watch it either, because it might put you in a hole. Although it has an uplifting message and is a wonderfully edited piece and narrated piece by Sasha. Sasha's verbal narration of this makes it. There's some visual shots that are beautiful, but it's certainly well done. But her verbal narration and her words, I don't even know what that is, verbal narration, what I'm saying, but her narration of this, her inner monologue almost, or what she's saying about herself, that's really what makes this. Her like sort of descriptive, brutal honesty is what makes this what I think is a pretty good chronicle, one of the better chronicles I've seen. They've all been pretty cool, but this was a really good one. But it is a very, again, what was me type of thing. You may find it that way. Anyway, that's all I have to say about that. There's my review. Some people asked me to review it. That's what I think of it. My name is Joe Cronin. This is the Joe Cronin Show, and Ryan Satin is Satan himself. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video, and tonight live after SmackDown, and of course on my Patreon, patreon.com/Joe Cronin Show. You can hit me up on Twitter at CorruptedPod on Twitter. CorruptedPod on Twitter, short for Corrupted Podcast on Twitter. Of course, because I am banned for life on Twitter, I have to use my Corrupted Podcast Twitter account because I am a straight white male and I deserve to be dead. audibletrial.com/JCS, guys. Hundreds of you have flocked over there to get the free audiobook. It is a free audiobook for you guys, the Joe Cronin Show listeners. audibletrial.com/JCS. Check it out now. Not only do you get a free audiobook at the cost of nothing, you also support the Joe Cronin Show. audibletrial.com/JCS. I'll see you tonight live after SmackDown. Here's some other videos that you guys may have missed because YouTube doesn't like creators anymore because it's not YouTube. Now they push corporate channels and main TV stations, and they hate us, and we don't get paid. Thank you.